Okay, now I'm recording. I think, Perry, everybody is able to hear us. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thumbs up, or if you can hear me. Yeah, we have Julia, Michelle. Okay, thank you, V. Well, my name is Kate Creveling. I'm one of the staff academic advisors for the Department of Chemistry. Today we're going to give, our peer advisors are going to give a presentation, and then we will be around for question and answers. We will be recording this, and it will go to the Letters and Science Aggie Experience website, which I linked in the chat. So if you want to revisit it or share it with other students, transfer students who are admitted, please feel free to do so. But I'll let Perry introduce himself, and then we'll let our peers do the presentation. You're muted, Perry.
Sorry.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Perry G. I am one of the staff advisors in the Department of Chemistry. I've been doing this for a better part of 6 years with the department. I am here to answer any of your questions, especially after this presentation and even after today's program and everything. So feel free to ask questions of us during the presentation, but even afterwards, we can be reached by email or phone. So feel free to get a hold of us at that time. But again, I'm Perry with the Department of Chemistry. Been with the department for 6 years. Before that, I was with mathematics and everything. An advisor with campus for almost 15 years now. So anyway, that's me.
Guess I'll go now. Hi everyone, my name is Michelle. I am a 5th year ACS chemistry major, and I am a peer advisor. Been peer advisor for 1 year.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia. I'm a 3rd year pharmaceutical chemistry major. I've also been a peer advisor for the same duration as Michelle, and I think that kind of wraps up our little introductions. Feel free to ask us more questions afterwards, but I'm going to go ahead and kick off our presentation. So here's a really brief kind of overview so you guys kind of get a sense of what we'll be covering today within this presentation. I'm going to just touch on some of the kind of highlights, which is we're going to be going over our 5 different degrees that we offer, some academic resources. We're going to speak regarding our experience with research and how to get involved, and most importantly, what UC Davis chemistry can do for you guys. So there are a couple different majors that Michelle's going to talk to you about.
All right, thanks, Julia.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you interested, I'm assuming that because you're here, you're interested in a degree in chemistry, but we offer 6 different tracks. 5 of them are BS in chemistry, which means Bachelor of Science, and 1 of them is an AB degree, which is a Bachelor of Arts. So the 5 different programs we offer for Bachelor of Science include chemistry, which is our ACS accredited program. It's a broad overview chemistry. We have the pharmaceutical chemistry track, which is kind of more for those interested in pre-health, organic chemistry. We offer 2 degrees in applied chemistry. That's the environmental and forensic emphases, and also a chemical physics degree for those of you who are interested in maybe more physics and physical chemistry. We also offer the Bachelor of Arts degree, but it's more meant to be kind of like a double major degree. So if you're interested in doing a double major with chemistry. So some of the unique chemistry courses we offer, well, let's think about it. There's so many different majors, or there's 6 different majors, and there has to be some kind of courses for everyone, right? So we offer a lot of different courses as like electives and also as core requirements. One of my favorite courses that I took personally was organic synthesis. And for those of you who have perhaps taken organic chemistry, know that this is the chemistry of carbon and how to make molecules. And organic synthesis was really cool in that it kind of summed up everything that I learned in organic chemistry and more taught us how to strategically think about making molecules or making bonds. So to help you succeed in your academics, we offer a lot of resources. So some of the tutoring resources we offer through the AATC, or Academic Tutoring Center, I think. That's like tutors for tutors workshops and content reviews for the lower division classes like introduction, general chemistry, general bio, general physics, general calculus, which some of you may have already completed. Slightly less pertinent is the residence hall tutoring, but for first year freshman students, we do have residence hall tutoring where these tutors from the tutoring center will go to the residence halls and be there for the students so they don't have to move as far. However, probably more pertinent to you guys is the peer tutoring program for upper division chemistry courses. These are students who have recently taken the classes that you might be interested in or will have to take, and they did really, really well. So they're coming back now to help students like yourself understand things perhaps from the mindset of a student, which I always find very helpful. So another program that we have that's really near and dear to my heart is the Chemistry Peer Mentoring Program. This is a program where we match first-year students, such as first-year freshmen or first-year transfers, with a junior or senior student who's basically walked the walk and been exactly where you are, except they're maybe 1 or 2 years ahead of you. And we really are aiming to try and get students involved from the moment they start at UC Davis. So this is like a instant friend type of thing. So you'll have somebody guiding you through, oh yeah, I really enjoyed taking this class with this professor, or I really enjoyed eating at this place. This is a really great place to go after classes, or hey, you heard about that research opportunity? You know, just somebody to kind of guide you and help you with the first year of your time at UC Davis. It's really hard, we understand, to navigate the quarter system. And however, we would really like to stress that mentors and advisors are not the same thing. So mentors are there to kind of guide you in like your year, but if you have any questions about like classes or how you're scheduling or anything else like that, we highly strongly recommend that you come see the advisors, us. So if we were in person, this is the point where I probably would have been like, how many of you guys are interested in research? Well, I'm really glad to say that UC Davis is an R1 institution, which means we have very, very high research activity. So for those of you interested in conducting research, there's that opportunity for you as an undergrad transfer. Actually, one of my really close friends actually two of my very close friends right now are senior transfers, and they've done really cool research. So it's definitely possible for you to do research in the time that you have here. We offer a lot of different research disciplines, such as the ones you see here, but we want you to know that you're not limited to doing research in the chemistry department. If you're interested in doing research, say, outside of what is going on in chemistry, we have students also in like the Olive Center doing olive oil chemistry. We have students at the Genome building, the Medical Center. You can do any type of research that you're interested in on campus and still get research credits for that. I just wanted to stress that it does have to be chemistry related, but there's just so much research opportunities on campus that are still chemistry related that you're really not constrained to anything.
I can go ahead and unmute myself there, and I'm going to take over for the rest of the presentation. So this is really relevant. Our conferences, we actually just had an undergraduate research conference that Michelle and I both participated in because we're both undergrad researchers. So I'm going to kind of touch on a little bit on some of the conferences that are unique to this department, and some fun seminars that we also get to do. So first on the list, we have the LaRock Undergraduate Research Conference, which is coming up this weekend. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, I would definitely Google it and try to get yourself kind of a Zoom invite or Go React. Not 100% sure which platform they're using, but it really gives undergraduates an opportunity to give a talk about their research and just the opportunity to learn from others and their peers and see what they're doing. The Miller Symposium is more kind of biochem focused. And then there's the Career Conference in Chemistry, which I hold near and dear to my heart because I've been on the planning committee for the past 2 years. And it's a really great opportunity to go talk to experienced people and kind of figure out your path if you're not really sure where you want to go and what is required to reach the jobs that you would like to aim for. It's been really insightful for me for figuring out that like, oh, I would like to have this job with this kind of company and doing this kind of work. And so that led me to going to grad school. And so it's just really helpful. I started going when I was like a freshman, and every year I just got a new perspective and talked to someone different. And it is a great place to start networking. So I would highly recommend putting that on your calendar. Kind of shifting focus to our seminars, we have some cool seminars where we have faculty that come from other universities, and sometimes they're focused on a certain research area. So if you have a particular interest, for example, in inorganic chemistry, and an inorganic chemist is coming from like University of Oregon or something along those lines, their seminars are typically free as long as you have time to go see them. Another seminar that our department puts on, and typically the peer advisors help put together, is the edible chemistry series, which is super fun. We contact one of the professors within the department, or sometimes like the food science department, and they talk about the chemistry we find behind the food that we're eating. The most recent one that we did was around Halloween. It was about the chemistry of sugars, and that was very cool. We've also had chocolate, and I believe we're planning milk and cheese and beer, I think, were the other chews that were kind of in the process. So it kind of gives you a little taste, pun intended, of what the chemistry department can offer that's kind of fun. So you aren't just kind of dragged down by the textbook nitty gritty, but get to see it in application and like things like your food. All right, so study abroad, this gets me really excited because I've done study abroad, particularly for our department. There are two different programs that we offer. There is the Nottingham, England Organic Chemistry Series that's typically offered over the summer, and you go with UC Davis faculty. Similar principles for the pharmaceutical chemistry in Taiwan, but that's offered during the spring. Considering certain circumstances, hopefully those will be back on track by the time you guys want to take those courses. A lot of you guys are done with your organic chemistry series, but there is a lot of potential for finishing up certain kind of like Gen Ed, for example, like physics, abroad as well, and that's through the UC EAP program, where you go to a foreign university with other UC students, whether it's like UC Berkeley, UC Merced, that kind of group of kids, and go to their universities and learn from their professors, and then your credits transfer. These particular programs, you travel with a UC Davis faculty and learn from them, just in a different place. So as someone who did study abroad, I didn't do either of these programs, but I would highly recommend it if you're looking forward to that kind of opportunity. And yeah, Michelle's also been study abroad, so we would love to talk to you about it and love getting questions about it. So I'm going to leave that there, and hopefully you guys have some more questions later. Speaking more fun things, our department, I feel like, has a really good like work-life balance, because we definitely put a lot of value in our studies and educating ourselves and doing well, but we also really try to balance it out by doing fun activities and getting to know our peers, and kind of fostering like more of a family environment instead of like kind of hyper competitive, which can sometimes be the case, but not here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of our fun things that we do. One of my particular favorites is the Spooktacular event, which happens in the fall around Halloween, and it's pretty much a big Halloween party a little bit. So you see your professors and your grad students and undergrads, they all dress up and go play games and eat food. And it's just a really fun time. And like it's my favorite when I see the grad students bring their dogs that are dressed up. I mean, professors also bring their kids that are dressed up, but dogs dressed up is just something else. So it's my particular favorite. We also have Chemsgiving, which really brings together that feeling of family, because some students, since it is such a short break, aren't able to go home, and we give the opportunity that we get to have our own kind of Thanksgiving, Chemsgiving. It's a big potluck. It's great to connect with people. And then the last event that I'll touch on, which is super fun, is the Chemistry Picnic Day show. I believe it used to be called kind of Magic Show. Their demonstrations are really cool. You can see on the top right corner a demonstration that was done for that particular show. And it's really funny, and it really applies to all levels, whether, you know, you're a PhD candidate or something along those lines, or like a kid. It's just super fun. Would highly, highly recommend if you get the opportunity to go see it. Okay, kind of shifting gears a little bit back into the study sides of things. I would like to touch on the fact that we do a lot of work with our chemistry club. We put together events ranging from outreach to like movie nights and looking at like kind of, there's a science cinema, I believe, which we'll be happy to explain a little bit more later. But the first thing that comes to mind is there was an event where we looked at kind of the real life application of if we're going to do like Elastigirl's suit material. And so like that was like a fun talk that a professor came and gave. So that was just kind of a little bit of a sneak peek into some of the things the chemistry club does. We also work with the UC Davis CalTeach MAST, which is near and dear to my heart because I'm an education minor and I've taken several of the classes and gotten to go into classrooms within the surrounding area of Davis and teach some chemistry or just science related topics in general, which I found really rewarding. And then we also have CPNP down here. Health professional advising, I'm going to give a really big shout out to because a lot of our majors are pharmaceutical chemistry majors that are typically on the pre-health track. And although we do know some of the prereqs for med schools and pharm schools along those lines, they are the experts. And Davis is unique in the fact that they have a whole advising office and staff to really accommodate for students that are on that track. So we know some things, but they are the experts, so we will advise you to them if that's your track. And finally, kind of to wrap things up, the degree that you pursue, it's really what you get out what you put into it. So yeah, I just really hope that you enjoy the experience and get to know lots of different professors and network and connect with peers. And this is kind of our information. And I think that wraps up our presentation. So I will kind of pass the baton back to Kate.
Thanks, Julia and Michelle. At this time, we have got plenty of time for questions. So please, if you feel comfortable unmuting yourself, you can ask the peer advisors or myself and Perry. Or if you'd like to type it into the group chat, I'm happy to relay your question, but we'd like to hear from you all what questions you might have about UC Davis and being a transfer student at UC Davis in the chemistry department. You can see if you want to take a screenshot or a photo of our contact, like, you know, the peers mentioned, we're happy to hear from you after this, but we do have time. So please let us know if you have questions. We're here to answer. Some things that I'll mention just in general as someone who's been advising for a while is that transferring to UC Davis can be a challenge because a lot of you are coming from a semester school to our quarter system. And our quarter system is very, very fast. And so I want you all to be aware before you would register for fall classes, myself and Perry would be in communication with you all to do a advising Zoom meeting similar to this to make sure that you're in a good balanced schedule and that you're really setting yourself up for success. Jonathan, did you have a question? Looks like you're joining us.
I finally figured out how to get my face on here and how to unmute myself. I was actually talking for like a good 5 minutes and then I said, I don't think
it's good to see your face.
So first of all, thank you so much for doing this. I'm like super excited about everything that you guys are doing. Like I love chemistry and all the classes that I've taken, I'm like the only nerd that's sitting there enjoying the classes. And most of the kids there just say, well, I'm doing this to get to whatever other class I need to, where I'm there just because I enjoy it. So I do have a couple questions. One of them is regarding the degrees. I, for some reason, and I still don't know why, it was probably because I was so stressed while filling the application out for UC Davis. I picked chemical physics as my major, where I would like to just go into chemistry. I got all my physics done, and it's great and everything, but I'm ready to part ways with it at some point. I mean, I know I still got to do PChem and all that stuff, which is great, and I'm excited for it. But I, at some point, if at all possible, would like to transfer to just a chemistry degree and then go from there. Is that something that I'm still capable of doing?
Sure, I'll answer that one. So thanks for the question, Jonathan. Yes, so all admitted students, you have to spend a full quarter at UC Davis to have access to change your major, but that doesn't mean you can't be pursuing the major that you want to be pursuing. So absolutely, you can change majors. Like Michelle mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we do have a variety. And so I would encourage you to look through our website at the different chemistry majors, whether it's the American Chemical Society, Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry, or one of our applied chemistry or pharmaceutical chemistry majors. But absolutely, you can change. You just won't be able to officially change until you have been at UC Davis for a full quarter.
Awesome, awesome. And then, I guess if nobody else is asking questions just yet, I was, just today, I was kind of, not necessarily concerned, but I was, I'm transferring from American River College here in Sacramento and stuff. And we received an email from the school president and stuff saying that they are going to do all of their classes online on the fall still because of the COVID-19 epidemic and stuff. And I know I haven't received anything from UC Davis yet, but given the fact that for chemistry, like we definitely need time in the lab, like how is would they make sort of like excuses for us to go into the lab, or would they still have us? I wouldn't know how they're doing chem right now.
So I'll just start the answer and then I'll throw it to one of our peers who's probably participating in one of these types of labs right now. We don't know what's going to happen in fall quarter. The chancellors, the UC president has not made a decision, so we can't say what for certain what will happen. But we have transitioned everything, including our labs, to online this spring as well as this summer. And if Michelle or Julia, do you want to talk about what that's looked like?
Sure. Julia, are you in 135 right now?
I am in 130 right now, which is a computational lab. Although my understanding of other labs right now is that they are pretty much watching videos of TAs performing the labs, or just kind of videos on the techniques and stuff in general, and then kind of analyzing them and reporting them. And unfortunately, it's really not the same kind of hands-on learning that I think is so important about labs, but considering the circumstances, kind of the best we got to do right now. If you're really looking for that hands-on experience, I know for me personally, like I'm building my schedule, I'm looking at like, okay, I would really like to have my lab section maybe shifted a quarter, and seeing how I can kind of play around with my classes, because once you get into upper division, there are certain classes you have to take in a certain order. Although lab classes, for example, like inorganic chemistry, that kind of thing, as long as you've taken a section of inorganic, there isn't a very restricted timeline, so that might give you a little bit more flexibility, so you still learn the material and have the opportunity to do some hands-on things. So that's probably what I would look out for.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can also add to that. Oh, Kate, I don't know if you're trying to talk, but I think you're muted.
Sorry, yes, I was saying, Michelle, go ahead and if you want to add something, and then Jonathan, we've got a few questions in the chat bar, but we'll come back to you. We have plenty of time.
Yep, thank you so much.
Yeah, so for those of you who are interested as well about how, let's say, distance learning wet lab is like, I'm currently enrolled in the last quarter of analytical chemistry. And basically what's happened is that there is a online portion where they've given us, I think it's a little bit unique for my class in particular, because the first half of the course in analytical chem is computational based as well. So instead of performing the experiments and then taking the data to go to analyze and write up, the TAs have provided us data sets from previous quarters, I think, or maybe, I don't know if they got the data set new, but it was a given data set to us, and then we had to analyze and write up our findings from that analysis. And I believe it's pretty similar in the other classes as well. I provided a data set to, I think, 124, an inorganic lab class. So I believe they're either reaching out to previous students for their data sets if they still have them. So you'll still be able to get the data sets from the experiment as if somebody had gone and done the experiment, but you're still analyzing and trying to understand what this data means. It gets a little harder, I must admit, when you don't know exactly what happened in the lab. Like, let's say you did a certain technique, but you don't really understand why that was done. Like, then you can understand it a little bit more when you're writing a lab report. However, in my experience doing all of these labs, I learned the most when I was actually writing up the lab reports. So for those of you who might be a little worried about missing out on the techniques, it is also still helpful to write about them, or write about the experiments that you've done, even if it is just theoretical, because I find that I learned a lot of theory when I was writing up my lab reports.
Thanks, Michelle. We had a question about how can transfers get into research quickly since they don't have a whole lot of time?
I can take that one. So actually, I forgot to mention it, but Julia and I, are, and also our other peer advisor, Lauren, we are all involved in undergrad research. And the way that you can get involved as early as your first quarter at Davis is really just by interacting with the faculty. Actually getting involved in research, a lot of it is what's the word, like self-motivation or self-driven. Like, you have to be the one to go forth and reach out to professors if you're interested in working with them, or you have to be the one to, you have to take the first step, take the initiative to go and read all the, or read up on their website, see what kind of research they do, maybe looking a little bit more into the papers if that's something that you're interested in, that they've written, the literature from those labs. I would say a really great way that I know of a couple of students who got involved in research as transfers. What they did was they talked to their professors from their first quarter. So that's like your first quarter classes would typically be like maybe inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry, and talking to the professors during office hours. Office hours is a really, really great way to get involved and, meet with your faculty or meet with the professors who are, teaching your classes, because potentially they might have a lab spot open. If not, which actually happened for one of my friends who was a transfer, they talked to this professor that they were interested in, or like they were like, oh, your research is really interesting. Can I join your lab? But then the professor didn't have any spaces, but he was like, oh, actually, I know this other professor that you could work for. They're doing some similar research, but I don't have any room, but you can go work, or you could go talk to them and see if you could join their lab. And that's what they ended up doing. So even if you don't feel like you have anything to talk about with this professor, you can still talk to them and ask them, to refer you to other faculty, because the faculty all know each other. It's just a matter of like getting connected. And I think it's always great to, use your connections or build your network.
One of the Jesseline asked, which I can answer, about she wants to know, or he wants to know, when we'll be able to make an education plan for fall quarter. You'll have the opportunity to have a one-on-one advising appointment with myself or with Perry closer to registration, which is not till August. So we'll be sending out that information once you've committed to UC Davis, and expect to get that and be able to have a one-on-one appointment with us a little closer to registration, because at that time, all of your transfer work will hopefully be uploaded in our system so that we can see what you've already completed and help make a proper education plan for you moving forward. So please know you will definitely get a chance to have one-on-one advising specific to you and your credits prior to registration, which for transfer students happens in mid-August. So that is when that will happen. V wanted to know, what do class sizes look like at a UC? And what's the studying style? Julia, do you want to?
Yeah, so it really depends on what kind of class you're going into. For example, I took a GE class for Psych 1, and I think there was close to 500 people, and it was in like the brand new California Hall. So if you're still looking up to wrap up some of those GE classes, or just kind of bigger or entry-level classes, your class sizes will be larger. As you work your way up into upper division classes, typically your class size shrinks significantly. I'm trying to think, I believe the largest class I've been in as of late was my PChem class, because a lot of different majors have to take that. And I want to say there's about 100 people or so. But I've also had the last part of my organic chem series be 30 people. So it really kind of depends on the class and whether it's like a lab session and that kind of thing. One thing I will say though is, if you make the effort to get help from TAs, typically they're definitely available. It's TAs have great office hours that you can typically attend, which is helpful for studying. Some TAs are more helpful than others. There's also the peer tutoring that Michelle mentioned, which is really helpful for certain classes. Personally, I make sure to go to all my lectures and do the homework, and study groups are really big. I feel like it's a pretty friendly environment within Davis and within chemistry classes. And so it's pretty easy to kind of just talk to the people you're sitting around and be like, hey, would you guys be willing to do a study group and stuff like that? And it really helps with kind of sharing knowledge and figuring out kind of how you want to prepare for certain assignments and tests and such.
Michelle, did you want? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so to add a little bit to that, it does, like Julie and Kate mentioned, that it does depend on what classes you're talking about, B. For example, some classes are shared major requirements between like maybe 4 or 5 different majors or all 6 of the majors, versus some of them are only shared to like 2 or 3 tracks. So it also depends on how many like people need that course to graduate. From my experience, I think physical chemistry was always like either 100 maybe people at most. And then like you can break off into discussion sections, which are about 25 to 30 people, I think, capped. So it's a slightly smaller group. And then for electives, I've seen that aren't like the core class requirements. Those are about, I think, maybe 30 to 50 people max. And I don't think there are any discussion sections for elective classes.
Thanks. We had a question about the forensics major. Perry, do you want to give us some insight into the kind of how hands-on that major is?
Sure. So just to say, our forensics majors are very hands-on in terms of being involved with not just the classes, but the labs themselves. But that is also still dependent on what type of undergraduate research that you go after. For example, as an applied major, a lot of our majors do work not just within our chemistry research labs, but they are also fan out in different areas within UC Davis in itself. A lot of our forensics majors do find themselves in toxicology labs, environmental toxicology labs, microbiology and biology labs, so things that are similar to and can certainly help students expand their experiential learning in the forensic areas and everything. So it's not always relegated to just the chemistry major or the chemistry labs and everything. So we'll find a lot of our majors in other labs outside of the chemistry department. Also, one of our professors, Dr. Donald Land, he is one of our leading faculty in the forensics area. His lab is very specialized within the forensic sciences as well as other sciences where he utilizes organic chemistry, analytical chemistry, theoretical chemistry as well. but he's one of our leading faculty. He actually teaches one of our upper division advanced classes, and it's called Chem 104, and it's basically advanced forensic sciences. So, and it's a major requirement, core requirement for all of our forensic majors to take. And typically you'll be taking that in as a transfer student. You can actually take that class in the fall quarter, or you can also delay that into the fall quarter of your graduating year, so to speak.
Thanks, Perry. Jesslyn had a question about general education requirements. So one thing that we want to mention at UC Davis, our advising is very decentralized. Our department, so myself and Perry and the peer advisors, we really handle your major requirements. So everything having to do with your major, what you would need to do to graduate with your major requirements. And then there's advisors in the Letters and Science Dean's office, and they are who you would go to check on your university and college requirements. And that is where general education, unit requirements, if you need an exception to a policy, their office deals with all of that. So we're all one advising team. But if you have specific questions about general education, if you didn't finish your IGETC, you would ask the dean's office advisors about that. And then everything having to do with your major, you would come through us for the department questions. She also asked how competitive it is to get into a research group. So I don't know, Julia, can you talk about your experience? Did it feel competitive to get involved in research?
Yeah. I believe the level of competitiveness really varies depending on what quarter you're trying to enter a lab. For instance, if you're trying to enter the lab during fall quarter, for example, a lot of the times there's more open spots because the previous year of undergraduates or grad students, typically undergraduates, have graduated and have left their mentors without kind of a mentee. And so I would say professors are kind of on the lookout at the end of spring quarter, kind of already preparing for fall, so that there's not a time within their lab where the kind of productivity dips too much. So overall, I would definitely say if you sell your assets and what you can bring to the team and be a hard worker and that kind of thing. I have seen many people successfully get into labs. Sometimes it takes a bit of patience. And I believe that if you really connect with the professor and are really passionate about their research, it's a little bit more streamlined of a process. But since we are an R1 institution, every single professor, almost, I would say like at least 80% of the professors, if not more, do have a research group, do have graduate students, typically have undergraduate students as well. So there are definitely lots of spots, and I think it just really depends on where you're looking to go. Yeah, so if you're trying to get into a lab that already has a lot of undergrads, it's going to be harder than it is for a lab that is kind of less impacted. So one thing I will mention though is GPA isn't everything. Some professors just definitely want to make sure if you add the additional responsibility of doing research, that doesn't compensate your studies. So I would just kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm more than willing to touch on any of the things that I've said, but yeah.
And I want to mention the university has an undergraduate research center. And so that is an office solely dedicated to getting students connected to research opportunities. And so if you're not sure about how to approach a faculty member or how to find their information in research, how to draft that email, that is a office solely dedicated to students. They do advising for students to help them get connected to a research opportunity. They have a conference every year. So it's not that it's not competitive, because I think a lot of our top students are getting involved in research, but if you have persistence and if you're doing the legwork to look through our faculty, look at the work they're doing, making those appointments, going to see them, going to office hours. I think, you know, if you are persistent and intentional, that you'll be able to get a research opportunity. Now, you don't want to wait until your spring quarter of your senior year, because they'd like students to be able to be there for 1 to 2 years to work on a project, to have a meaningful experience. But it's definitely very possible, so don't be discouraged. Let's see, what other questions? We had questions about the chemistry club and joining. I know that they have a lot of events, but Michelle or Julia, do you want to talk about being involved with the chemistry club?
Yeah, I can do it. So I actually used to be an officer for the Chem Club. And to the best of my knowledge, there's 2 different tiers. There's the general member, which is just like you can just go to any events or go to, the events are like open to the public, but it's just like, you know, you can start off at this level by just going to events, going to meetings. And then if you want to be a more involved member and also be considered for like officership, you can show that you're a little more involved with the club by attending more of those meetings or attending more of the events. And then you can become a Chem Club catalyst. And the catalysts are the ones who are eligible for officership. I'm sorry if that wasn't made clear at first. I don't know what like the hourly commitment per quarter is now. I believe previously it might have been like, I think at least 2 meetings per month. And I believe like 2 events, I think, per quarter or something like that. I don't remember what the catalyst requirements are now. But I think there's also like a really small fee. I think it's like $10 and you get a t-shirt. So that's really nice.
Yes, the chemistry department is known for having swag. So lots of folks walking around campus with chemistry hoodies or sweatshirts. Maybe Michelle's showing us hers. Look at that, in a lovely garnet. Very nice. Now, I think I cut you off earlier, Jonathan. Did you have any additional questions you wanted to ask? You're feeling okay? Okay. Anybody else have any questions for the group? And I will mention that we have kind of a second hour planned. That's not that this is very formal, but really led by our peer advisors to get the full student experience and 411 on everything. So you would have received that link. It's a separate Zoom link in an email from Perry. I believe he sent that yesterday. Any other questions while we're in this chat?
I do have a question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Delmar, and then Jonathan, you can go after her.
All right. So I do have a question. So I'm a transfer student and I'm going from semester to quarters. How is that transition? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. I'm excited to be attending, but at the same time, I'm kind of nervous. Is it gonna be almost like taking a summer course, at least on our end, from going from, I guess, 16 weeks to now going to like about 10 weeks?
Yeah, it is a tough transition. And my previous advising experience, I worked with students who had a rough first quarter. And a lot of times we see transfer students come in because they get below a 2.0 because they took on too much in their first quarter. So we really recommend having a balanced schedule. That's why we will hope you will take advantage of meeting with myself and Perry prior to registration so we can kind of make sure you're not overloading yourself. But it is very quick. The good thing about the quarter system is variety, is that you have an opportunity to take a lot more variety of classes because of our 3 quarters. But you are correct in that it's 10 weeks, it's intensive. You don't want to usually take more than 2 major classes. So even if you have your IGETC or you don't have any general educations left, you might consider a minor and something outside of STEM just to have a balanced schedule and a variety of other classes you can take, a writing class in addition to your 2 chemistry classes, or a women's history class, or a music class. I know Julia mentioned she's an education minor. Michelle also has a minor. So it will help balance your schedule and keep you sane at the same time. Does that answer your question? You hit the ground running.
Yeah. And
I
if
was
I
like,
could,
yes, it does.
yeah, and if I could add to that too, is like, I mean, I know that for the most part, you're going to hear various advisors on campus kind of say, you know, the norm is like to carry between 14 and 16 units for the quarter. I would, you know, we usually like to start our first year students, whether you're a first year freshman or a transfer, try to keep you around that 12 to 13 unit limit, because, and that will include like 2 upper division courses within your major, and it could be a balance between like an additional upper division special interest course or elective, and maybe even like a first year seminar. So that way it kind of balances you within, say, that 12, 13, but no more than 14 units. That way you can kind of like understand the pace of a quarter system and how quickly it can move. And then that way you can, you know, give yourself that headspace to make, you know, adjustments to your study habits, how you approach the workload. And then once you kind of like get more familiar with things, then you can kind of look at the winter and spring quarters, like increasing your unit workloads and everything. Because the other thing you want to kind of keep in mind too is that within the quarter system and the fast pace, you're also going to be looking to engage faculty, engage senior students, make new friends, navigating the university. I mean, you know, granted you have 10 minutes of time to go from one class to the other, but if you're like on one end of the campus and your next class is the far end of the other side of the campus, and you're having to navigate, you know, bikes and buses and walking and students and everything, you know, you want to kind of give yourself that period of adjustment and everything. So it's not just about like managing workloads, but it's just the day-to-day campus life and the day-to-day occurrences that you're going to encounter while you're here. So we like to kind of keep things on the conservative side, but then once you kind of figure things out, you know, you're off and running. So, yeah.
Jonathan, did you want to go ahead and ask your next question?
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you again for everything. I'm actually running out of juice on my phone, so I might just die off. But I just wanted to say thank you for preparing this for us and stuff. I'm really excited.
Great. Well, we're excited to and we all hope to actually physically see everybody on campus in fall. Like I said, we don't have the answer to that question, but you know, we are going to be here. We're still advising. The university is still functioning. It's funny how creative people are getting with Zoom. So we're excited to see you in fall. V had a question about a writing class required. So the university as a whole, for every major, has a requirement of an upper division writing course to graduate. So it's not specifically that you have to take a chemistry writing class, but you do have to take an upper division writing course. But there's a variety. There's a general composition course. There's a writing and science course. There's a writing and education. There's a writing for engineering. So yes, you do have to take one upper division writing class. There's also an option to test out of that if you feel like you've got very strong skills. There's a composition exam you can take to test out of that as well, which, like I said, Perry and I are happy to talk with you one-on-one more about that when we do the advising a little closer to registration. And then Jesseline asked about Transfer Edge. Transfer Edge is a kind of a transition program. It's new to me. It's newer to me at least, and maybe, I don't know, Perry, if you're as familiar with it, but I do believe you get your writing class done as well as a seminar course, and it's done in summer session just to help you transition. It's very intentional for transfer students to help you prepare for the fast pace of UC Davis, being at a research institution. So if that is something that you're interested in doing, I would never discourage. I think the more preparation, the better. And it does, my understanding is if you take that upper division writing class during Transfer Edge, so that would satisfy that requirement at that time. And then Perry or Michelle or Julia, do you want to wrap us up here, and then we can transition to the next Zoom?
Yeah, so I'm going to say thank you for everybody for joining this particular session from our, for the first hour and everything. I do hope that we see many of you in the fall, if not all of you in the fall. I think, one of the things you'll discover as you kind of, go to our websites and everything like that about the degree, the requirements, a lot of the points of engagement that we do in our department. We're a very dynamic department. We do like to get to know all of our majors as family, but we also embrace not just the academic excellence, but also we try to help, help you with your professional and personal growth and everything. So hopefully you get the time to take a look at our website and play around in there and see what other things that can be discovered within our department within UC Davis, and certainly hope that we see you in the fall. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Kate, or the Julia or Michelle. We're very reachable now and through the summer. So, and I'm actually going to leave because I got to set up the other meeting and everything. So, bye everybody.
Bye, Perry. So you guys can see the link there, and he also emailed it to you. So we will continue to chat, answer questions, even if it's about, hey, what's it like to live in Davis? You know, what's the bike traffic like? We are our peers, as well as one of the peers, Lauren, who's wasn't able to join us because she has class right now, will be there to answer any and all questions. It doesn't have to be only about chemistry. So please feel free to come join us over there. But I'm going to go ahead and end this session, and then we'll see you over at the other Zoom link, hopefully. Thanks, guys.